Hello guys, welcome back to another episode here on European Confessions. There is a message that I received, then we had to do a translation for that message, and the translation reads like this. Hello Brother Nashi, how are you? Can you please post my story as anonymous? In my mind, I feel as if I am no longer okay. I feel as if I am no longer mentally stable because of all the things that my wife is doing to me. She has brought so much pain in my life. Can you please share my story so that maybe your audience can help me? My brother, I'll go back in the past. What happened in the past was that I was the first one in our family to ever come here to South Africa. When I came here to South Africa, I then came across this woman whom I later made to become my wife. At that time, I was looking for love. So there was this woman that I was working with. I had proposed love to her. She then told me that she could not be in a relationship with me, but since I seemed to be someone who was really innocent and who was a good man, she was going to make another plan for me. She told me that back in her village, there was this other young lady who was single and searching. So one day when she called her children back home in Zim, she then told her children that when she would call back, they were supposed to go to that young lady's house. So because she wanted to speak with that young lady, her children did as so. Then they went to that young lady's house. That is how me and my wife met. After that, we started talking a lot. I used to send her a lot of money. I then saw that the way that I was sending the money, it was no longer okay with me, because now it was like I was taking care of two families. What I would do is that I would first send that young lady that I was dating money so that she can take care of herself throughout the month. After that, I would then send my parents some money. So this thing, it was just too much for me. I then spoke with that young lady who later became my wife. I spoke with her and I told her that since I was going to take a little bit longer for me to return back to Zim, and this thing of me sending her money and sending my parents money, it was just too much for me. So I asked her to go to my parents so that she can stay with my parents whilst she was waiting for me, so that by the time that I will return back home in Zim, I will then make her to become my wife. She then said it was fine. I sent her some money so that she can go to my parents and stay with my parents in the village. But the moment that she arrived at our village, my mother found it so hard for her to accept that young lady as my future wife. She then said that in our culture, this thing is not allowed for a woman just to bring herself to someone's home. Then she will say that you are so and so's future wife. She then said that my future wife was more like a prostitute. That is why she was not afraid to stay with my parents, even though we had never met physically. From there on, that is when I suspect that with the way that she suffered under the hands of my mother, because my mother said that she could not accept her as a daughter-in-law. But this woman, my wife, she really loved me. So I think that she started going around visiting a lot of traditional healers. This she did trying to save her marriage. Maybe there was someone who ended up giving her the herbs that are not okay. Because right now, some of the things that my wife do to me, I do not even understand. And at that time when my wife started visiting a lot of traditional healers, trying to keep the peace between her and my mother, and trying to make sure that as I was here in South Africa, I will not get married to another woman. What used to happen to me is that whenever she would use her charms on me, sometimes she could just send me an SMS and she will say, tomorrow I want you to get on the bus so that you can come back home. in Zim, and my brother, I would obey her as if I was something like a zombie. I would just tell my boss that I had to rush back home to Zim because there was an emergency, even though there was no emergency at all. My brother, since I was the only one at that time who was working here in South Africa, and I was taking care of the rest of the family, so anything that I would say, everyone would just obey anything that I wanted to be done. When I finally got married to my wife, she was also now in control of the whole family, because anything that she wanted to be done, everyone would respect her, because they knew that by disrespecting her, then it meant that they were not going to get maybe clothes for Christmas, or I was not going to send them any money. My wife was now in total control of the whole family. So I think that when she saw that now she was in control of the whole family, that is when she started to have this evil heart. My wife, even right now, I can see that she has this cold heart, but to her family, she is quite a soft, kind woman. But whenever it is about my family, she is always cold-hearted. Because if I ask her to send any of my relatives that are back home in Zim some money, then she can actually tell you that she made a mistake. Then she entered a wrong pin until the card is blocked. Or she will tell you that tomorrow I will go to town, and when I'll be in town, I will send your relatives the money. Then she will call you. Sometimes she can actually send you an SMS on WhatsApp. Then she will tell you that I came across 2 men who robbed me. Right now, I do not even have any money. But if it is about her relatives, the card will never be blocked. And if she goes to town to send the money, she will never come across any men trying to rob her. Then what happened, my brother? The main issue that I have brought to you, there was this younger brother of mine. He was struggling a lot whilst he was still there in Zim. Then one day he spoke with me on WhatsApp and he said, my brother, can you please send me some money? At least if you can send me money that is around $20, I can try to start up a small business. I asked him what kind of a business that he wanted to start up. He said that he wanted to become a gold buyer. I then managed to send him the money, and after I had sent my younger brother the money so that now he can become a gold buyer, when my wife knew that this is what I had done, my brother, my wife started to insult me. Then she was violent towards me. She actually pulled the TV from the plug. She lifted that TV and went and threw it in the bathtub, whilst the bathtub was full of water, because he found out the SMS that reported that I had sent my younger brother about $20 whilst she was preparing water so that she can bath. So she did all those things. She threw the TV into the bathtub. Then she started to fight with me. But I kept quiet because I didn't want us to be violent towards each other. Besides, some of the charms that I have seen her using, I am really scared of her. Is it even possible that I can sit down with my family and tell them everything that happened? Because I am even afraid of my wife. After I had given my younger brother the money that he was asking for, then God decided to bless my younger brother, because he then went to this other area where a lot of gold mining was taking place. And as he was working with this other group, when they went underground, that group managed to mine about 1.5 kilos of gold. Then they divided that 1.5 kilo of gold amongst themselves. Then my younger brother, he called me and he told me that he wanted to come here because he wanted to buy a car there in Centurion. When he came, me and him, we went around just looking at different garages, just looking for the car that he wanted to buy. And when he came here to South Africa, he didn't have a WhatsApp number. So what he would do is that he will be using my WhatsApp account so that he can communicate with our relatives back home. That was when my younger brother came across some of the voice notes that I didn't even realize that they were in my phone. And this conversation had happened between my wife and her relatives, and she was telling her relatives that I was sending my relatives money without her permission. and a lot of insults were said in those voice notes. About the time when we returned back home, that was when my younger brother sat down and said that he wanted to speak with my wife. Then we started having the meeting, but it seemed as if my wife, she was already ready for this meeting, because when my younger brother asked my wife why she didn't want me to assist some of her relatives, that was when my wife rose up from where she was sitting. Then she started to fight with my younger brother. As they were fighting, that was when my younger brother overpowered my wife and slapped my wife. After this had happened, that was when my wife spit on the ground as she was pointing at my younger brother. Then she said, "You are like a dog that is about to die, because if it rains twice before we have buried you 6 feet underground, then it means that I am not a powerful witch. I would throw away all of the charms that I use when I am bewitching people." So when my wife said to my younger brother that it is not going to rain twice before you have died, we thought that maybe she was just angry. And you know that women, when they are angry, they will just say a lot of meaningless things. But my brother, this is what happened. My younger brother just died, and the way that he died, it was quite a painful way. And by the time that he died, he had a cancer on his leg. It was as if someone had been digging up all over his leg. In brackets, this type of a cancer, what happens is that they use this other animal that is called a garden mole, the same way that a garden mole make tunnels underneath the ground. That is what will be happening on the victim's body. Brother Nashi, whenever I think about the way that my brother died, sometimes I do cry, because when he died, he left his children behind, and my younger brother's children, they are suffering right now. And whenever I try to take some money from the house, then my wife, she will insult me, and she will tell me that I am not supposed to do that, because she will say that I'll just be wasting money. There was a time when I said, enough is enough, let us just break apart. But after we had broken up from each other, she then told me that if I am going to walk out of this marriage, then I swear to you that you are going to suffer. You will suffer so much that you will walk around opening refuse bins so that you can look for something to eat. When she walked out of our marriage, I thought that maybe it was another joke. But my brother, I suffered so much here in South Africa, because I was now walking about 15 kilometers coming from the location where I was staying, going to town, so that I can walk around opening refuse bins just to find something to eat. Then I would walk 15 kilometers again, going back to the location where I was staying. I went back to the place where she works as a stay-in maid, and I begged for her love back, but she made me to sit down before her bosses. When I went to her workplace, I did it against the advice of my family. But my brother, the reason why I am still with this woman, it is because I keep on thinking about my children. I am doing this for the sake of my children. So the cancer that he was talking about, it is quite a scary thing, because the way that they use that animal, the more that the animal will be making tunnels, the more it will be damaging your body. Your African magic.